whoever is listening, guys, welcome back and welcome to episode 114 of the Man with the Plan podcast. Also, my Super Bowl 57 reaction. Kansas City takes down Philadelphia 38-35. It was a fantastic Super Bowl that will be overshadowed by a controversial call with about a little over a minute left with Kansas City in field goal territory, ready to take a 3-point lead and prevent Jalen Hurts from going down the field and scoring. Juju Smith-Schuster on a wheel route, a design that they'd used previously to get in the end zone, but with a little more of a wheel twist, is called. So we'll just immediately start with that, is the controversy that surrounds it. And I think in any Super Bowl, you're going to have the spotlight surrounded by the most controversial moments. That obviously was it. The refs non-existent, a very clean football game, very entertaining football game. Now will be overshadowed by one play. And I think it's fair to be frustrated. I think the Eagles, they had a 10-point lead at halftime. They had complete control of this football game. Mahomes was once again hurt. They had their opportunities to keep the lead. I think teams are now 18-2 when holding double-digit leads, that being the Falcons and the Eagles. And I think the 49ers had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter as well. So it's not like the Eagles didn't have their chances to capitalize on this game, but I think my personal opinion is at the end of the day, you can't let a game like that come down to what I view as not a controversial or egregious call. Now, if Smith-Schuster falls over and it's egregious and you can see it with your own eyes and go, yeah, well, I see why they called that. When it's that close in the game, when it's the Super Bowl, I think it's a little difficult to call that. And I think when it's such a 50-50 thing where you're not 100% certain, you can say, yeah, I see why they called it, but I don't know. And I think that's my thoughts on it. It's the right call, but I don't think it was the right moment. And I think the refs should just let them play it out. And 3 days ago, you have Roger Goodell saying the state of our officiating has never been better. And now that quote will be under intense scrutiny as the offseason officially begins for all 32 NFL teams. So let's just go do a little play-by-play of this football game. And this will be a short episode, but typical reactions. We did one for Golden State, Milwaukee, the Rams last year, kind of continuing that tradition. So for starters, I think in the first half, it's 24-14. Philadelphia is textbook on what they needed to do against Kansas City. They needed to get a lead, control what they wanted to do with this football game. Jalen Hurts playing out of his mind. Besides one mistake where he fumbled the football for a touchdown, played near perfect football, was making all the right decisions, all the right throws, was really running well with his legs. I think Philadelphia, they had this identity all offseason. They're going to outbully you. They're going to outpower you. And they had 4 or 5 QB sneaks in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations that felt very easy, felt very efficient. And I think you'll see a lot of NFL teams potentially try to replicate that if they have the right quarterback. I don't know if it's the formation or the personnel that they have, but it seemed like their bread and butter every single time. It was 3rd and 1. It was a really short yardage situation play that Sirianni had in there. You got to give props to Philadelphia's offense for coming out in this game where I think, at least in the San Francisco universe, a lot of people thought, okay, if Jalen Hurts has to be in these passing situations, you have an advantage because he's not comfortable. And Hurts stood in the pocket and really took some hits and made some really strong throws in this football game. I was very impressed with the way he played. 4 total touchdowns, tied Terrell Davis' Super Bowl record for 3 rushing touchdowns. Granted, those were coming from some QB sneaks once again, but still, the performance from him was outstanding. He kept Philadelphia in this game, brought them back into it when they were down early in the fourth quarter with a Devontae Smith 54-yard throw. Impressive stuff from number one, when a lot of people, especially me included, when he came into this league, I thought he wasn't really refined as a passer, and he's very much taken those big steps and really improved within his game. A classic. Mahomes, he was the story at halftime. Injured with the ankle. We saw it in Cincinnati. How was he going to be able to recover from it? It's been an injury that's nagging him since the Jacksonville game. How has he been able to play through it? My take is, if you could give the Super Bowl MVP to a coach, you give it to Andy Reid in a heartbeat. The way he was able to orchestrate plays in the second half, giving Mahomes all the time in the world, giving him designs like those 2 touchdowns, one to Sky Moore. I believe one to Kadarius Toney too, early in the second half, is where I think they cut into the end zone and they cut out. It was an in-out. We used to call that a P route in high school, where you kind of come in and out. And on YouTube, you can kind of see what I'm doing with my hands. But the way they're able to design that, give Mahomes easy throws, easy reads, get guys like Kelsey involved. They got Smith-Schuster involved, who's a really great route runner. A little bit on the TikTok side is where a lot of people really recognize him from. But you got to give all the props to Andy Reid, making Mahomes comfortable, especially in the second half where it could have been really easy for Philadelphia to put all the pressure on him, really make him feel uncomfortable when he probably is in a serious amount of pain. You have to give all the props to Andy and Coach Reid and that offense for designing that second half. They came out with some urgency. They were down by 10. They knew what they had to do. They mixed it up with Pacheco, who has been a really great find for them all season and really had a fantastic game. He is the definition of what Kyle Brandt likes to call an angry run. And it was a great performance from him, great performance all around from this Kansas City offense where all season they necessarily didn't have the cheap play over the top, as I like to call it, where they can get Tyreek Hill open, kind of design a play for him to take it to the house, and you have 7 points there. They've really had to earn their drives this year. And I think that's what made them special is when they're down 10, they're able to take these kind of 12, 14 play drives and make something of it because they've been there before, because they've had to do that all season. They've had to really rely on Reid's play calling, Mahomes' intuition, Pacheco's run game, McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire throughout the season when they could. This Chiefs team, like I mentioned in the summer, they're going to have to play a different style of football, but I think they were better off for it. And you really saw that evolve and grow as the season progressed. And it all came together, and you saw it in different spots throughout the season. It all came together when they needed it the most. When Mahomes was hobbled, they had to earn those drives once again, and they did so in the second half, scoring. They scored, I believe they had 4 scoring drives. I don't know if they went 4 for 4 necessarily, but they were down 10 in the first half, coming into halftime, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl, which congratulations to them. That's 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. There's going to be some chatter in the next couple of weeks. Let's not overreact, but I think you have to really appreciate the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time recognize the greatness of Andy Reid as well, because he has been instrumental this year. He's been instrumental in the postseason, especially when it's come to the health of his quarterback and putting his star player in the best position to succeed. Got to give him all the props in the world. And now they're 2-time champions down there in Kansas City. Really with the making that D word gets thrown around, dynasty. Well, we see it. Next year, they'll have a target on their backs once again. Travis Kelce out of the game said, nobody believed in us. Travis, go watch my podcast. I did. And I think before we wrap up, we'll look at on the other side. Philadelphia, unbelievable season. They pretty much ran through everybody, regular and postseason. The 49ers, the Giants in the postseason. They had 2 losses, and those were without Jalen Hurts. Hurts took an unbelievable leap in his play this year. The defense stepped up in unbelievable ways. Sirianni, who I think I was not sure about after his press conference, where it looked like he was in it over his head. Press conferences, I guess, can be deceiving if you're a listener of this podcast, but you got to really give Philadelphia the props. They will be back in a division with Dallas where we never really know which Dallas we're going to get. A Giants team that's going to have to move around some players and make decisions on Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. Daboll's a great coach, but what is the direction of that team? Where are they headed? And can they stay consistent? The Commanders, is Derek Carr in the mix for the quarterback position? Who will it be? They're a mystery. And so Philadelphia, they have a prime position to get easy wins in the NFC within their division and really stake their claim as one of the top teams in the leagues. And I think you'll really start to see that next year is the consistency of this team. Will they be able to stay put, or will they be a one-year wonder like some teams in the past? Time will tell, and I just want to reflect on that. It's been a fantastic season, once again, covering the NFL for this podcast, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Congrats to Kansas City, the Super Bowl champions. Thank you guys for listening to the Man with the Plan podcast. Subscribe. We've been on an unbelievable run. Thank you for over 16,000 listeners. Let's continue to do it. Let's get to 20,000. Let's get to 20,000 before the end of this semester. Let's set that as our goal. Guys, thank you so much. Be on the lookout for more interviews in the future. Have a fantastic day and take care.